Okay, continuing our refactoring, we're going to implement our first search. It's taken us a while to get there. I'll be honest with you, this is pretty complicated. It took me a while to get this to work, so you have to pay attention very carefully and watch this very closely. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to modify our interface, and I need to add the input element for the search, which I have here. So I'm using input type equals search. I gave it an ID of search str, short for search string. A width of 30, which means that the input field will be 30 characters wide. A placeholder, which we saw before, just says search the quote text. The other thing that I did is, you might have noticed before when we were displaying all of the quotes that the controls will go off the screen. So I've moved the display area here. It was originally up here as the first thing in the main area, and I've moved it down. So now the controls will be at the top, unless I scroll down the page. Eventually I could set that up with the CSS so the controls would always be on the page, and then the quote display would scroll, and we'll do that eventually. Okay, so again, I just set this up so I can use it. Now let's begin looking at the JavaScript. This turned out to be pretty complicated after all here. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to grab a handle for that new search input that I put. That's right here. And so search string was the name and the markup, the ID of course. And then search input is the name of that. Alright. Then on my search input, I'm going to create an event handler for the key up function. And this kind of goes along with the JavaScript and Ajax Lambda video that I asked you to watch. And so, pardon me, when the user pushes a button and then they let up, that creates a key up event. And so what will happen is each time the user types a character into the search field, we'll redo the search results. So this is a very responsive kind of search. Another approach would be to let the user type in a search screen and then launch the search, but this is more of an Ajax way of doing this, and we'll refine things here later on. Okay, so again, I've got my anonymous function style that we're used to, so I'm creating a handler that I'm passing in to the key up method of the search input. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to define an empty array, and that is going to be for the indices, that is the integer index of the various quotes that match. And that's kind of an important point to make here. If you think about it, the very first thing this application does is it downloads all of the quotes into, from the JSON file into an array. So we absolutely don't want to write inefficient code where we end up copying those quotes multiple times. So instead of doing that, I'm going to use the index of the quote to identify it within the array and not copy the quote itself until I'm ready to display it. Okay? Now, we're going to use regular expressions like we learned before on the form thing. And so you can see here this search input.val is jQuery that gets me whatever the user has typed in the input field. And then this I here indicates that I want to ignore the case. And that's going to create a new regular expression, which we're going to call reg. Okay? Next thing I want to do, since I'm going to be displaying the results of a search, is I want to turn off our quote feed we have set up where it gives a quote every 3 seconds. So I'll change the quote button text there to start feed because now it's off. I'll clear the interval, and then I'll set my control variable feed flag to false. I'm not sure if I need to do this or not. Let's see. Yeah, you know what we should do is we should put this in conditional code, because this will end up running a lot of extra times when it's not needed. So let's make this a little more efficient. We'll say if feed flag, which means if the feed is on, now we'll turn it off. So that makes a lot more sense than just to automatically turn it off. Because if you think about this method, it's being called every keystroke the user makes. So really we only have to turn it off the first time. Okay, so if feed flag, then turn it off. After that, it won't run through that code. It'll realize that it's already off. Okay, the other thing we have to do is we have to clear the display of any current quotes, because that would screw up, and basically we're adding to the display, so we want to empty it before we begin to add the ones that match. Alright, here's the loop that goes through all the quotes. It's pretty straightforward. We get the length, which is how many quotes we have. I think we have 80 now in our master file. And so this is going to go through all of the quotes. Here's the regular expression test. So my regex object test is a function that tests the pattern I've stored in the regex object against the string here, and you can see that we're doing this against the text of the quote. So we're not searching the tags, the provider, or the author. And later on we'll make the search a little more robust, and in particular we'll make the search allow us to do multiple words. Right now it doesn't really allow multiple words. So if this finds a value, then it pushes the index, which is a number, the index of the quote that matches, into the result set. I had quite a bit of time debugging this, and so take a look at the console log I have here. So this console log will only kick in if we had a match. It'll give me the index, and then it'll give me the string that I'm currently searching, and then finally it'll give me the text that's supposedly matched. For a long time I kept seeing a lot of quotes showing that weren't matching, and in my debugging it was doing the matching correctly, and it turned out that I had a problem with the way I was displaying the quotes. And I'll talk about that when I get to that. Okay, so this log does the logging as we find them, and then here at the end of the for loop, this just shows the entire result set and the string we were searching for. Okay, that's all still active. I'll show you that when we run the program. Finally, show quote set result set is going to go ahead and do that for us, and that's where I had a bug. And I think that bug might have been in the previous video, so let's go down there and look at that. So if you look here, show quote set, first thing we do is we check again to make sure the feed flag is not running. If it is, then we turn off the feed. And then notice this, if you call show quote set without any value, this is where it just oh wow, let's see. Yeah, this is where it just appends the quote to the display. And then the else clause here, this is where I had it wrong. So what happened was I had get new quote q, when it should be get new quote q set q. See, so q set is my result set that I'm passing in. And then I want to go through the Q set, and then the get new quote will append that particular quote. So again, this here, Q set Q, is each individual index that I already found that's a match. It's in my result set, which I'm passing in here. Let's see. So I think we're good to go now. Yeah, so I mean, now that I worked through it, it's not really that much code. And I don't believe I did anything else here. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how this runs. Again, just for convenience, I'm running it in Firefox locally. And let me go ahead and save that since I did make a small change. Pretty sure I already have this open in Firefox. And I'll just go ahead and reload. And real quickly, the way that I got this display, I went here to Developer, and then Web Console, and that's what we're looking at down here, the console. Okay, so again, I've got my feed going, everything's working, and now I'll go ahead and let's look up leaf. I know there's one quote that has the word leaf, L-E-A-F, so L. And so then if I look down here in the console area, you can see all the quotes that match the L there, and of course there's quite a few out of our like 80 odd quotes. And if we get up here to the end, there's the last bit. So it says L, and then all of these quotes have an L in them. Okay. All right. We'll type again. We type the word, the character E, and now we have a lot less. And so you can see there the number of the quote, the LE, and the matching text of the quote. And then at the very end, the last bottom here, is the quotes that match. We still have a lot. Okay. And so now let's go ahead with the A, and now you can see that we only have a few quotes that match. And down here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quotes total that match. And there you can see leaf, pleases, please, please again, cleaner. So all those are the LEA, and then when I type the final F in, I get down to the single quote. It's the only one that has the word leaf in it. So we've succeeded here. We have a basic search mechanism, and of course we'll continue to refactor this, and we'll think about how to make it better. So, and I'm not sure that there's only one way to do that. So for instance, we could improve this. It would take multi-word searches. So what if I want to type leaf and wind? I want to get all the quotes that have the word leaf or the word wind in them. Right now, the way it's set up, it can't do that because it reads that as one string. So it won't work correctly. Alright, so we'll have to figure out, and that'd be kind of tricky because we're going to have to read the input and figure out that the user put a space in and wants to do more than one word. We might also decide that even though we're using this fancy instant lookup, that maybe isn't that good an idea. Maybe a better idea is to let the user type in the keywords they want and then just hit return to launch the search. Finally, we have all these other fields. So we could just have it search all the fields and combine all the results. We could have it set up so the user could specify that they only want to search for author or provider, or they only want to search tags. So right now I just have it set up to search the text of the quote, and later on we might want to again play with it. Okay, so I hope this was useful for you. Let's just look it over one more time. Again, I thought it was kind of complicated. I want to make sure you understand how to do it. So again, we just added this input element here, search input, which is called search string in the HTML. And then on the search input, it's a text input field. It's actually input type search, which is a new HTML5 type. We're using the key up function. So the user presses a key, and when they let go, it's key up. So every time they type a key, it'll register this function. We create an empty result set. We build our regular expression, and this is the value. Now this is going to include all the keys they type, not just the current one. So as they type the string, it'll build and it'll go in. So the first time this will be the first letter, then the first and second, first, second, and third, etc. Again, the I means to ignore case for the regular expression. Okay? We check to see if the feed is running from previous work. If it is, we turn it off. We clear the display, just put a space in there for the markup. Now we go through all the quotes in our array. We've got about 80 here, and we roll the tests. So the regex has a test method which returns true or false. And notice right now I'm just testing this on the text. Real quickly, if I wanted to add the tags in here, I could do this, or whoops, reg.test quotes square bracket q dot tags. And I think that'll search the entire tag field. We'll have to test that out here. I'm pretty sure that'll work. We'll try that again. So now I've added this. If it finds the search in the tags or the text, it pushes it in to the result set. There's our console logging stuff again. And right now I guess I'll go ahead and comment this out. And let's see, because it's not showing the tags. It won't be particularly helpful. We can just play with it though. I'm pretty sure it's going to work because everything else does already, so I won't do those. And so then again, then we display the result set. Okay. Now, one thing I wanted to mention too, by the way, is notice I'm going through all of the quotes before I display the results set. If I had a performance issue, I could change that and I could add the quotes in to the display directly as I find them. But right now the functionality works pretty well this way, and it's a little cleaner to do that. Okay. Alright, let's see. Then the only other thing is I had that bug I talked about where I had to fix the show quotes, and that was that I had this whole value as Q, so it wasn't showing the correct quote, it was showing the wrong index. So this quickset Q is actually the index of the found quote, and now we apply it against the quote set here. Okay. Alright, let's run it again with our new tag code. I hadn't thought about that before, so it should be interesting to see if it works. And let's see now. I think I have humor as one of mine, so let's see. How about comedy? Nope. Oh, there's humor right there. Alright, so the tags part is not working. It looks like we'll have to do more than that. But everything else is working here. Alright, I'm going to call it an end for this video, and I'll play with the tags. My guess is to search the tags I have to set up a different for loop and go through the tags one by one. I'm trying to kind of look at the whole array of tags at once. That's probably not going to work. I'll play with that and come back. Okay, hope you learned a lot from this.